that little bar that you have to pull up before you start the lawnmower. That little bar is controlling a cable, and that cable goes to basically a switch. And when the switch is engaged, it does not allow the ignition module to create electrical current. So that's why you can't start the mower unless you pull that little lever up, and that disengages the switch and allows the ignition module to create electrical current, which sends it to the spark. It's pretty cool. So we took that kill lead off. Next, remove the hex flange screw and the stud securing the ignition module. Mark the stud for identification during reassembly, which means you just want to make sure this stud goes back there. Now, if you notice, the stud that's holding the ignition module is kind of a goldish color, whereas the other two in the back of the engine are silver. So that's another indicator. So there's our ignition module, and it works on electromagnetic field, creating an electromagnetic field with the flywheel. So this part of the flywheel is actually perfect for us right now because this part's a magnet. And when that magnet passes by these two ignition armature arms that are connected by a spool of copper wire underneath this black covering, it creates an electromagnetic field, and that induces electricity. So every time this flywheel passes by with this magnet, it creates this electrical current and sends it to the spark plug. Okay, so that's what we're going to wrap up today. We did a lot. Let's see, we started with the air cleaner cover. An air cleaner, air filter, helps clean air as it comes into the engine. That piece is housed by the air cleaner base. Behind the air cleaner base was the carburetor. Now, what does the carburetor do? The carburetor allows air and fuel to come into the engine, but not in the liquid form. The carburetor takes liquid fuel coming from the fuel tank and atomizes it, breaks it up into tiny particles, creates almost a mist or a vapor, and that fuel vapor is what comes into the engine. And you might be asking, well, why? The answer to your question is it increases the surface area of the fuel, and it maximizes the fuel's burning capacity. So the carburetor will take liquid fuel, store a little bit in this bowl, and as it needs fuel, it draws it up into the throat of the carburetor through a tube called an emulsion tube. Air comes rushing through here in a phenomenon called the Venturi system. And Venturi is taking air, closing that air channel down like a wind tunnel. That increases air velocity. That fast air hits that liquid fuel, breaks it up into tiny little particles, and that air-fuel mixture is inserted into the engine. You can kind of think of it this way. You take your garden hose at home, you turn it on, You get your buddy, your friend, to get his leaf blower and aim the leaf blower right at your water. It's going to take that water that's coming out of your hose in liquid form, and it's just going to break it up into this mist of water. That's kind of what the carburetor does. We took the governor spring off. We took the breather hose off. Of course, we took the fuel line and fuel filter off, the speed control bracket, the fuel tank. We took the governor lever off. Again, the governor is going to control engine speed. We took the ignition module off, which uses electromagnetic field to create electricity. We took two linkages off, a throttle linkage and the choke linkage, and of course, the kill lead. So that's where we're going to wrap up today.